I was talking to Rogan on Tuesday. I went, oh shit! You know UFC 218 is fucking this weekend.
I was actually caught off guard too.
I know.
With Gaethje and Alvarez, I was like,
that's the world we live in right now, man. It's hard to keep up with all of it and the media and the marketing. But phenomenal card, great card. It's in Detroit, Michigan. I wish freaking Kevin Lee was on this, but he's not. I'm sure it'll be cage side. But start with the main event. The prelims are good too. Prelims are really good with Charles Oliveira and Felder. Yeah, That's a great fight. Mm-hmm. Paul Felder been doing a lot of commentating. MJ, we went over your current event with the puppy. It's definitely an MJ current event.
No.
Next time.
So let's start with Eddie Alvarez versus Justin Gaethje, which is obviously for the title of the most violent man on the planet. I don't know what the odds are. I would assume Justin Gaethje's the favorite.
You want to check now or after?
You can check now. But my thing with Justin Gaethje, and as much as a fan favorite he is after one fight against Michael Johnson, and that could be fight of the year, and everyone loved the fight, and you see, obviously his kind of legacy and his notorious walking forward, take any man, eat all the shots he wants, game, you punch, I punch, plant my feet and brawl type of style was created in the World Series of Fighting. Again, just like with Ben Askren, unless you're in the UFC, that stuff doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. Those guys you beat in World Series of Fighting, they're not shit compared to what you're dealing with now. I think Michael Johnson played his game and for whatever reason decided to get in a brawling festival with Justin Gaethje and made for a fun fight. And, Justin Gaethje did get caught. And obviously Michael Johnson got caught and ended up losing the fight. Phenomenal fight, and we love to watch it. I think Eddie Alvarez, he's had his, his back and forth kind of long drawn out fights, and he lost to Conor McGregor, became champion by starching Dos Anjos. Skill wise, I think that Eddie Alvarez is more skilled than Justin Gaethje, but he has more years, he has more wars on his resume. He's also beat a lot better guys at a lot higher competition for a very, very long time. The Underground King. You know what I'm saying? He's the Underground King. So I know he's the dog, and you guys know as a betting man, I should be picking Justin Gaethje because I have ties to him in Denver, and he's with my old team, my old coach, stuff like that. But I think Justin Gaethje is going to come across someone who's not going to play that brawling game with him. He's going to be in a lot of trouble because that's all he has. He has his kicks, but he can counter those because his technique's not great when he's throwing those leg kicks, but it does mess up a lot of guys. And when I say mess up a lot of guys, messes up a lot of guys in World Series of Fighting, which is leaps and bounds away from the UFC competition. So, again, he does have a leg kick. Is it world class? No. And a high level, those guys could eat you up. They could definitely eat you up. So, look at his record. So he fought Melvin Guillard, went to a split decision. Granted, that was in 2014, but, he's undefeated for a reason, and he's a champion for a reason. I just think the UFC at a high level, it's only going to take you so far. And if Eddie Alvarez is smart, and he does train with Mark Henry, who's the smartest mastermind in the game, striking-wise, and he uses his wrestling, don't forget, Justin Gaethje does have amazing wrestling. We just don't see it a lot. But he was a All-American at University of Northern Colorado. But that's not Gaethje's thing. He rides and dies and likes the slobber knockers. But if Eddie Alvarez is smart, he will use his footwork, go in and out, use his skill set, and drag Gaethje into later rounds and beat him. I think Eddie Alvarez beats him via decision as the underdog call there. The Underground King beats the highlight Justin Gaethje. Because I think what you can do with Gaethje is you can frustrate him where he's going, come on, let's brawl, let's make this entertaining for the fans. If you go, nope, I'm going to be calculated, I'm going to be smart, I'm going to use it when it works, and when it counts, I'm going to go in and out, I'm going to mix up my wrestling, so you can't just come forward. That's where Gaethje's going to struggle with guys who aren't just going to go forward. They're just not going to let you play that game. If Gaethje fought a guy like Tony Ferguson, Khabib, guys who you can't just pressure and keep coming forward, because Gaethje hates to go backwards. It's an ego thing. It's a pride thing. Doesn't want to take a step back. He thinks it's the coward thing to do, so he wants to come forward. Well, the way he stopped that is with wrestling, and he has great wrestling. He can mix it up. But Gaethje's going to beat a lot of guys based off ego. Could guys go, oh, he wants to stand and bang? I can stand and bang. It doesn't work for you. Gaethje's the best at stand banging right now. So be smart. Use your footwork. Outsmart him. Outskill him. You can do it by decision. Eddie Alvarez by decision as my underdog pick there. It's a great fight, by the way. Amazing fight. Even if it goes to the cards, that's your fight of the night. Or your fight of the night, Cejudo versus Pettis. Sergio Pettis, Cejudo at 125. The winner of this would probably fight Demetrius Johnson if he doesn't take the TJ Dillashaw fight. Sergio Pettis is a guy who's quietly, coming out of that shadow of his brother. He's doing work. He's just doing work, man. He's beating some really tough guys. I think Cejudo's too much too soon. I think Pettis has the skills to be champion. I just think Cejudo is world class. When I say world, I mean amazing at two things. When Pettis is very good at everything. He's more well-rounded, but Cejudo counters that by being amazing and a 1%er at two things, wrestling and power punching, which I think gets the job done against Pettis, and I think he stops him via KO, TKO, second or third round. What's the odds there?
Let's take a look.
I hate when I pick all the favorites. Cejudo minus 255, that makes sense. So I got Eddie Alvarez, he's the underdog at plus 55. Michelle Waterston, Tisha Torres, okay. Let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. And the fight.
This one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Alistair Overeem, Francis Ngannou. This is by far my favorite fight on the card. This, I would pay if just, I would give you my $70, whatever the fuck it is. I would give you that money just for this fight. That's how bad I want to see this fight. Overeem, who, people forget his only loss as of late was to Stipe for the belt. He actually kind of had Stipe in a lot of trouble, if you remember. Remember, he thought he tapped him out. It was the first round, it was back and forth. He had his chance. But before that, you go through, he's beat Struve, Nelson, JDS, Orlovsky, loses the belt to Stipe, but then flatlined Mark Hunt. He flatlines Mark Hunt and then beat for Verdun, which was a back and forth fight. No one got robbed, shit fight, but he did get the nod there. So he's beating the best in the world. And what's so interesting to me about Overeem is since you saw it in the strict drug test has kicked in, he's had to rely on his skill set, which is the best in the UFC as far as striking. But what's weird is with Overeem, he's never going backwards. What are you talking about? USADA Overeem, he'll run. Mm-hmm. If you corner him to cage, instead of playing that game, he literally turns his back and runs, which is hilarious. It kind of works, but it's hilarious. Here's your question, though. Go to France for me. With Francis Ngannou, which everyone's riding high on him. He's the next champ. He's this, he's that. I agree, he could be your next champ. I've just never seen him in trouble. We've never seen him in trouble. Name the best guy he's beat. He beat Curtis Blades, young Curtis Blades, and that was in Croatia, and Curtis ranked number 9 now. Okay, he's beat a top 10 guy. Anthony Hamilton took down, submitted. Anthony was a wrestler. Andre Arlovsky over the hill. He starched him with an uppercut in the first round. And then he's had a long layoff. The UFC moved him to Vegas, invested money into his training, and he's basically the bane of the UFC, where they're creating him into this monster because he acts the part. I've just never seen him in trouble. Does he have the skill set to be a world champion? Check. Am I going to declare him a world champion right now? No. No, just because I haven't seen him against a Stipe, against a Kane, against these grinders who aren't just going to stand there and bang with you. So that's why you get Alistair Overeem, which is the perfect matchup for a guy like Francis Ngannou. Is Alistair Overeem a better striker than Francis? 100%. They're not even in the same ballpark. As far as technique, decoration, amount of fights, competition, they're not even in the same ballpark. But one is young, hasn't really had any damage, hits like a Mack truck, hits harder than Overeem, but his technique's not the same. Can Alistair Overeem last 15 minutes without getting hit on the button? Because as soon as Francis lands a shot on Overeem, this fight's over. I don't think he can. I just don't think he can. I think this is the perfect fight to get Francis to the title shot, which is why you have this fight. I think it's the exact fight you need to get Francis to the dance. And that's what they want, and this is what you have. If you beat a guy like Overeem, who's ranked number 1, now you have a legit kind of threat at heavyweight. and we need new blood in the heavyweight division. So that's why you're getting this fight. But I'm not ready to write off everyone else and declare Francis the champ. He has the capabilities, but we have not seen it yet. So therefore, you can't say, "Oh, he's this, he's that, he's the next godsend for the heavyweight division." But I just don't see Alistair Overeem lasting 15 minutes without getting touched on that button. I think Francis wins. Spoiler alert: I don't think anyone's saying anything different. If Francis were to win, he knocks him out via KO due to punches. I don't know if it's in the first round. I think Overeem fights smart. I think you're going to get it late, second or third round. But it's going to come. I'm going to say second round knockout, Francis Ngannou. And then he fights the winner of Stipe Kane. It depends what they want to do with Francis. The heavyweight division is so small and fickle, and there's not a lot of depth there. So what you could do is Francis fights Overeem, and you got to make him walk through a little bit of fire, because Stipe walked through some fucking fire to become heavyweight champion. Look at the names he's beat. He's gone through some shit. I think you make him go through Overeem, and then you make him fight a grappler in Verdum, and then fight the winner of Stipe Kane. That's what I would do. Build the hype of Francis. You don't go Anthony Hamilton, Andre Arlovski, Overeem title shot. How more impressive, and you can build the legend. And also, we need more marketable. We need more commitment to the legend of Francis Ngannou, and we need more highlights of him knocking out Fabricio, knocking out Alistair Overeem. We need more out of him before he's your heavyweight champion. He has 700 Twitter followers. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So my plan for him would be, you beat Overeem. This is all dependent on him winning, by the way. That's asking a lot. So you starch Overeem, which I think he's a favorite there, and then you got to fight Fabricio Verdum. So you take out any naysayers there, and then you fight the winner of Stipe, Cain Velasquez. You got to walk through fire to get there, man. You really do. That's what I'd do. And then I'd have Derek Lewis somehow fight once and then fight for the title. Because Derek Lewis and Francis, black on black crime, would be awesome.
Great fight.
Great fight. But you got to build the legend of Francis Ngannou. You don't build the legend by just tossing him these tough guys. He looks the part. Let's tell his story. Let's have him knock out Overeem, the most decorated striker in the heavyweight division. And then the next fight we put live on Fox so the common fan gets familiar with him. He starts with Verdum. Verdum's been on Fox. He's been champion. We're all familiar with Verdum. He's been super active, so Verdum wants a little layoff. And then you fight the winner, Stipe Kane, which Stipe Kane are bad matchups for Francis. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see these favorable matchups. I want to see when the odds are stacked against you what kind of champion you're going to be before I just give you the title. But I do have Francis winning via KO second round.
Cool.
Oh, Max Holloway, Jose Aldo. As the fight gets closer, this is more appealing. I know Aldo's taking it. You can't say short notice because he's supposed to fight Lamas, right? Ricardo Lamas. And then so they pulled him out to fill in because Frank Yeager got hurt. I was more excited for the Frank Yeager fight. That'd been fun. We haven't seen it really. So the thing that makes me excited about this is if you go back and you watch the first fight, those early rounds, Jose Aldo had a lot of success. I was like, damn, the speed advantage is crazy for Jose Aldo. But then they kind of put in cruise control, and then Max Holloway took over. He's a bigger fighter, landed punches, and ended up knocking him out, becoming world champion, featherweight world champion. So what changes this time? Well, in that fight, Jose Aldo only boxed. He was kind of very flat-footed. He only boxed. He did have a speed advantage. He didn't use any of his kicks. Well, why didn't he use his kicks? His team says he had an injury going into it. Mm-hmm. I guess I buy that. But all his fights recently, he hasn't been kicking. He's become very one-dimensional, very rudimentary. We can kind of guess the way he's going to fight. For whatever reason, he used to be so dynamic. Best kicks in the world, world-class grappler. People forget he's a monster of a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I'm literally world-class. We'll compete in worlds, monster. But he never uses his grappling. I would like to see Jose Aldo, if he wants to beat Max Holloway, get more dynamic, mix it up, add kicks, definitely take him down. You can't just use boxing against Max Holloway. He's a bigger guy. Yeah, you're going to have a speed advantage. You might win the first 2 rounds. It's just a matter of time before Max Holloway trades one with you and you get knocked out again. So for me, if I'm Jose Aldo Camp, I also don't say, oh, he had an injury, that's why he didn't kick. So expect more kicks. I don't say shit. I would just add it into it and not give away the game plan. But whatever, to each its own. So the only thing that's going to make this more exciting and a different result for Jose, if he becomes a mixed martial artist and gets out of his head that he's just going to plant his feet and try to outbox Max Holloway. Because you're going to have success early, but we've seen how that works out. You have success early, then eventually Max Holloway, this Hawaiian tidal wave takes over and he lands one, knocks you out because he's the bigger, stronger, more power puncher. That being said, even if Jose Aldo decides to mix it up and use his leg kicks and try to take him down, which is easier said than done, I just think it's Max Holloway's time. I really do. You can see the dynamics. A lot of these UFC guys who we've come to know and love, who were champs for a long time, and they've been the faces of the company. This new age of the more athletic, more dynamic, more verbal, robust kind of fighters taking over these days. And I think Max Holloway's that guy. He could care less if it's Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar, Anthony Pettis, Ricardo Lamas. He doesn't care who it is. He's going to beat him. So I like that. I think this fight is a little different. I think it's a little closer, but then that Hawaiian tidal wave of Max Holloway takes over and he gets another TKO victory by, I say, fourth round. Fourth or fifth. It's a later KO victory, but he will get it. And I assume he's the favorite.
Let's check it out. Favorite minus 310.
Oh, big favorite. Biggest on the main card. Makes sense because they were fought. But so the only underdog I have for you guys is Justin Gaethje. The only, if you're trying to parlay it with someone, maybe Sergio Pettis. That's a big if. You always have, again, heavyweight's always fun to bet on if you want to take Alistair Overeem as an underdog because one punch ends the night. So my underdog, who I actually think is going to win, is Justin Gaethje. Trying to make money on a parlay with two underdogs. I'd go, I'm sorry, Eddie Alvarez is my underdog. If you're trying to parlay it with two underdogs, I'd go Eddie Alvarez and Alistair Overeem. Just because Overeem, there is a puncher's chance. It's heavyweights. He is a super technical striker. It's a great card, though, man. It's a great card.
It's fun.
I'm excited about the card. Is that it, boss?
That's it.
For you guys tracking this, I'll take Michelle Watterson. She's an underdog, but and obviously I'm biased. I'll take Michelle Watterson, Eddie Alvarez so Watterson decision, Eddie Alvarez decision, Henry Cejudo TKO late, Francis Ngannou KO second round, and Max Holloway TKO fourth or fifth round later rounds. There you have it. UFC 218 picks in beautiful Detroit, Michigan.